Right, let's go straight on then. Here's a question. We go straight to the equity table when we see it's an SFP question. Remember, it's S's equity table. I want it at the year end. I want it at acquisition. One minus the other comes to post-acquisition. Whatever's in S's equity, in my simple question so far, we put in here. But in my simple question so far, just share capital, just retained earnings. These are S's figures. 100 and 2,300. We then always presume the acquisition was the same. Then we need to go looking for what was S's reserves at acquisition. H acquired 70% of S 6 years ago. That's at acquisition when they were 620. So if they were 2,300 now, take off the 620, what it was when I bought it, gives me post-acquisition of 1680. That comes to 720. That's the fair value of S's equity, and hence the the book value of S's equity and the book value of S's net assets at acquisition. I want the fair value, and the fair value, it tells me at acquisition was 760. So I need to make a 40 adjustment, and I need to know what caused the 40 adjustment. PPE caused it, okay, and PPE gets depreciated over 10 years. So 40 over 10, depreciation is 4 per annum. How many years ago did I buy it? 6. So we would have had 4 times 6, 24 depreciation by now, which means 40 less 24, 16 would have been left in PPE. So I go to the PPE and I add in 16 there. So far so good. I can just add that down then now. So 1680 minus 24 is 1656. Super. Now I can get on with my goodwill working then. Fair value of consideration, fair value of what I paid for it. I normally get that from the SFP, 800. That's what I paid for it. Perfect. Fair value of net assets acquired at the very bottom. I've already worked that out. That's the same as the fair value of my equity, 760. But remember, I didn't pay 800 for all of it. I paid 800 for 70% of it. So NCI, using the proportionate method, and it's called the proportionate because they get a proportion of this, of the net assets. They get, at acquisition, they get 30% then of 760. Let me put that in my calculator. 760 times by 30% is 228. Add it all down then, so 228 plus 800 minus 760. That comes to goodwill of 268. So I can go put goodwill in. I can start my group accounts off. I know goodwill is 268. No impairment mentioned. Once I've done goodwill, I like to then get on with NCI. NCI is always what it was at the start, which is the same as your goodwill. Add on any post-acquisition, take off any impairment, which we don't have at the moment. So NCI at acquisition was the same as goodwill, 228. Post-acquisition, here's the post-acquisition column. So we're going to give them their share, which is 30%. 30% then of 1656. So 1656 times by 0.3 comes to 496.8. No impairment, so then just add on the 228 at the start, which means at the year end, NCI was 724.8. I am going quickly on purpose. You can pause the video, you can stop it, you can think about it, or you can just follow me and then practice one yourself afterwards. So, was that 724.8 NCI? That goes to equity in my groups, 724.8. Leaves me with one final working, retained earnings. Retained earnings, if you remember, we want all of H but not all of S. Let's go get H's as he must complete. H's 6,300 then, and then S's would be not all of it. It was 70%, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, the other 70% here of the post-acquisition I only deserve since I bought it. So 70% of 1656. I'm going to need my calculator. 1656 times by 0.7 comes to 1159.2. And if you add on the H's 6300, we will get 7455 7,459.2 as my retained earnings. Let's go put that in. 7,459.2 for retained earnings. 7,459.2. Share capital, always H's. And finally then, just add across all the assets, all the liabilities, so that's 8,016 I think. Let's check them and hope I've done it right. 8016 plus 268, that comes to 8284. The net assets should equal my equity, so let's add up my equity. 100 plus 7459.2 plus 724.8, hopefully 8284. Whew, it is. Okay, so that's it. That's the last illustration that we're doing on proportionate NCI. Next illustration, we're going to move it on just a little bit.